red flag is a clear sign of danger. Maybe it's your reckless buddy saying something like, "Come on, it'll be fun," or a colleague asking if you'd like to make a lot of money quickly. Maybe it's something as simple as a sign for discount shrimp at the supermarket. Whatever the situation may be, recognizing when something is a red flag is the key to keeping yourself safe. Now, this is just as true in Magic the Gathering as anywhere else in life. Some cards are obvious threats in and of themselves, but not every card that spells doom is as big and flashy as Craterhoof Behemoth or Torment of Hailfire. Some have a great deal more subtlety, working behind the scenes to set your opponent up for victory. Today, I will discuss some red flag cards that players should keep a lookout for. Rather than a top 5, I will mention one in each color, because red flags come in all shapes and sizes and colors, though there's still red. You know what I mean. Before we begin, there's another red flag you may want to look out for, and that's your hair thinning and beginning to recede or even fall out. When you see that red flag, you might want to consider Keeps, sponsor of this video, a subscription men's health brand for hair loss prevention. Hey, Keeps is just the generic version of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products, so that means it's basically Kirkland's signature hair loss medicine. Same medicine, but a huge savings because it doesn't have a name brand attached. And that's it, plain and simple. Keeps is hair loss prevention medication at a huge savings. And it's available for you, should you want it. You literally work with a licensed doctor via online consultations. It is prescribed, the medicine is delivered right to your door, and that all makes for a safe, secure, and easy process. Now remember, noticing a receding or thinning hairline is only a red flag if your personal choice is to have a full head of hair, which Keeps can help you to maintain. But there's nothing wrong with being bald or balding. You are sexy and gorgeous no matter how you choose to look. But if you want to choose to look a different way than nature is allowing you, well, that's where Keeps comes in. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Tolarian or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/Tolarian. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring this video. Before we kick off the list properly, let's take a look at a seemingly innocuous artifact that is in fact a sign of trouble to come. Crucible of Worlds. Crucible of Worlds is an artifact for 3 generic mana that allows its controller to play lands from their graveyard. Sounds harmless enough? Well, it isn't. Certainly, Crucible of Worlds can be played in a fair manner and is particularly helpful when combined with a fetch land in a Boros deck. But there are far too many ways it can be abused. Lord Windgrace and the Gitrog monster love this card. What you should really be wary of is Crucible of Worlds paired with a Strip Mine and a card that allows its controller to play multiple lands per turn, such as Azusa, Lost But Seeking. If an opponent has these cards on the table, be prepared to fall behind on mana and kiss your bounce lands goodbye. Now, this is admittedly a little fringe, but I have seen it before to devastating results. It is an effective way to lock a player out of a game. If you don't want to be that player, make sure that Crucible of Worlds doesn't last long. Let's start our color pie with the color white, and therein we have Academy Rector. Academy Rector costs 3 generic and 1 white mana for a 1/2 human cleric that reads, when Academy Rector dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. The reason why this card may not jump out at players, particularly newer players, is that it was only printed once in Urza's Destiny and swiftly joined the reserve list. To rapidly aging players such as myself, however, this card is an immediate red flag that your opponent is up to something dangerous. Being able to search your library for an enchantment and put it on top of your deck, or into your hand with cards like Enlightened Tutor or Idyllic Tutor, are already extremely powerful in Commander, effectively providing you with a second copy of a key enchantment. Academy Rector does the same thing, but cheats its mana cost as well. How does facing down a 4-mana Omniscience sound? Terrifying. It sounds terrifying. Academy Rector is also a great way to go get a combo piece without having to put it on the stack. An uncounterable Exquisite Blood, Perforos, God of the Forge, or Doubling Season is no laughing matter. Academy Rector presents the added problem of being dangerous to remove, lest you trigger its ability. What's more, Beast Within, Generous Gift, and Assassin's Trophy, 3 of the best targeted removal spells in the format, are of no use against it. Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile will take care of it with no real negative effects, but not every color has access to exile effects at instant speed, at least not popular or playable ones. And instant speed for dealing with a card like this is going to be critical. Your safest bet for dealing with an Academy Rector is going to be countering it outright, another ability that is limited to only a couple of colors. Altogether, few red flags are as large and bright as Academy Rector, so be sure to keep your eye out for it, and to warn anyone who is unfamiliar with it about just how dangerous it can be. In a similar vein to Academy Rector, we have our blue card, Tezerette the Seeker. Tezerette is a planeswalker, and as with most planeswalkers, he has multiple abilities. The one to really worry about is his negative X ability, which says, search your library for an artifact card with mana value X or less. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. If you thought an opponent putting an enchantment directly into play sounded bad, being able to cheat an artifact into play has the potential to be even worse. Sure, they could just go searching for a Soul Ring or Lightning Greaves, but they're probably going to go searching for a combo piece. What's more, due to the nature of priority, Tezerette the Seeker can go find an artifact before you have any chance to deal with him. Now, it is true that he's limited to finding artifacts with a mana value 4 or less when he first resolves, but there are plenty of combo pieces within that range. Isochron Scepter, Time Sieve, Aether Flux Reservoir, and Rings of Brighthearth are all valid targets. Need your Ashnod's Altar? Tezerette will find it. How about Winter Orb? You bet. If he's able to stick around, there's a good chance he'll be able to go and get all the necessary pieces for your opponent's combo. Just like Academy Rector, your best bet will be to counter Tezerette outright. Facing down Tezerette the Seeker is a sure sign of trouble to come. When it comes to the color black, red flags abound, but our particular card of choice is Bloodgast. A 2/1 vampire spirit for 2 black mana, Bloodgast has a number of abilities, but the most relevant of them is its landfall ability, which can return Bloodgast from the graveyard to the battlefield whenever a land enters the battlefield under its owner's control. When you see a Bloodgast staring at you from across the table, it usually means one thing: the Aristocrats. Aristocrats is a strategy that uses creature sacrifice to gain incremental damage. Bloodgast is an easily recurable creature to be sacrificed in an Aristocrat's engine. Each time Bloodgast dies, it triggers the other Aristocrat pieces, drawing its controller cards, dealing damage to opponents, and even netting its controller mana. If its controller has any edict effects, such as Dictate of Erebos or Grave Pact, that forces opponents to sacrifice a creature whenever a creature they control dies, and you can be in for a world of hurt. Having this happen once a turn is troublesome, but in Commander, be prepared for it to happen more frequently than that. With a plethora of fetch lands, and spells that put lands onto the battlefield in the format, Bloodgast can be sacrificed, return, and be sacrificed again multiple times per turn. Dealing with Bloodgast isn't as simple as destroying it. You're gonna need some graveyard hate in addition to your kill spells. Bojuka Bog, Rest in Peace, and Scavenging Ooze are all solid options. While it's true that Bloodgast itself is not the card that is creating all the value, it is extremely the sort of fuel necessary to keep the Aristocrat's machine humming along, and is a definite red flag, warning you of what sort of strategy your opponent is up to. Our reddest flag yet is Nihab The Eternal, and that's because it's a red card. Okay, I'll stop. In all seriousness though, if an opponent casts a Nihab The Eternal, then enormous amounts of damage followed by enormous spells are coming your way, and all too quickly. Nihab The Eternal is a 4/6 legendary zombie minotaur warrior with Afflict 3, and at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add a red mana for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. That effect ability means that Nihab will deal 3 damage to whomever he's attacking whenever he's blocked. Notice that the ability doesn't say to add mana for each damage Nihab inflicts this turn, but for total life lost among all opponents. This can add up quickly with spells like Jaya's Immolating Inferno and Comet Storm. But even getting a little damage in with creatures like Circara the Bold or Gutter Snipe means a glut of mana for Nihab's controller. Suddenly, enormous red mana sink spells mean immediate death for a given player. Nihab the Eternal is a popular commander in his own right, but he shines in many other decks. He's an absolute boon in Torbrand, Thane of Redfell, and Heartless Hidsugo decks. And any deck with red that is built around combat will want to run him too. This is definitely not a creature you should allow your opponents to untap with. If you should come across a Nihab the Eternal in the wild, you had better pray you brought some ointment, because chances are you're gonna get burned. Last but never least is the color green. And for that color, we have Hermit Druid, a 1/1 druid for 1 generic and a green. For the low cost of 1 green mana, you can tap Hermit Druid to remove cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land card. You get to put the basic land card into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Obviously, this card is played in order to make sure its controller never misses a land drop, right? Ha ha ha, no. Hermit Druid is one of the most powerful enablers in any graveyard strategy. For a single green mana and a tap, it can effectively draw a graveyard player a ton of cards. In some decks, though, Hermit Druid is a potential combo piece. When paired with the Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, or Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, Hermit Druid has a significant chance of helping to close out a game, particularly in 3+ colored decks where basic lands are in short supply to begin with. Even when not a combo piece, this card is dangerous. Carador, Ghost Chieftain, and Muldrotha the Gravetide are 2 extremely popular commanders who will have a field day with the sheer value Hermit Druid can provide. Like with Bloodgast, simply destroying Hermit Druid will likely not be quite enough. So bring along some potent graveyard hate as well. Remember, if you see a Hermit Druid across the table, do not let it live long enough to activate its ability, or it could be more than just a controller's deck that will soon be lying in the graveyard. But this, of course, is far from the complete list of red flags to watch out for in Commander, and now I want to hear from you. What are some other red flag cards? Remember, we're not looking for the big, bold, in-your-face ones, but the subtle ones, the signs that players tend to miss. Let me know in the comments below. And remember, you are a gorgeous, sexy beast, no matter how you choose to look, but if you're noticing a thinning or receding hairline and you're ready to take action to prevent that hair loss, go to keeps.com/Tolarian or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/Tolarian. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring this video.